Good evening to all. Today we'll start few other things. In the previous class, we discussed access specifier, private, public, protected, how we can access it. Today we'll discuss local variable, instance variable, static variable, final variable, how we can access it, and its MCQ. At the end, we'll do the program related to your encapsulation. So here are few points based on which the questions will be generated. The first point says that an object can be described in two different ways, such as real world object and software object. So what is real world object? Whatever we are seeing in the real world, that is the table, chair, animal, all are called your real world object. What is software object? Employee, student, library, these are all software objects. The characteristics and the behavior. What is this characteristics? The variable which enables us to store the data of a class is called its characteristics, and whatever operation that we can perform on these instance variables is called your behavior of the real world. Why it is called real world? Because we are talking about characteristics and behavior, and the same thing will be called your instance variable and method in case of your software object are implemented using the data members, which is also known as your instance variables, and member methods, which is also known as your methods in case of your software object. A software object is created using Java program. That means the real world object is implemented using Java program as a software object. Good evening to everyone. If you feel any sort of problem in the theoretical points where we need any explanation, you are most welcome to ask. With the help of the class, we can produce different objects of similar type. That means if I'm creating a class student, that means all the objects that I'm going to create must be of student type. I cannot create an object of employee class. In order to create an object of the employee class, I have to design a class called employee. So that's why it is saying that similar type. So it is called object factory. So this is the answer for why a class is called object factory. Normally we are getting the questions like this: why a class is called object factory, why it is called blueprint, justify your answer. Because of those reasons, these are included. Since a class is created by the user, though we are creating the class, it is known as user defined data type. Also we are getting a question on this: why class is called user defined data type. Sir, could you please explain the previous slide? Which one? Arpita, which point? Arpita, which point you are talking about? Quickly give your response, Arpita. Second point. Here it says that, let me remove this one. The characteristics. What is this characteristics is called? That is, if I'm talking about a dog, the characteristics of a dog is your color, how many legs, what is the breed of the dog. These are called characteristics. What is behavior? What exactly the dog is doing. The dog is barking, the dog is biting, the dog is running. These are all behavior of the dog. So these are called your real world objects. But when I'm implementing it, that's it. Here it is saying when I'm implementing it in software object, we used to call it as data members. So that's why in order to store the color, I'm declaring a string variable over here, string color. Suppose I want to store how many legs, I am saying int legs. So these are called data members. And what are the operations that we can do on these data members are called methods. Just like in order to store the student information, we are writing float mark 1, mark 2, mark 3. But in order to calculate the total marks and average mark, we need to take the help of your method. But this method is working on this instance variables or these data members and calculating the total based on this data members, that is M1, M2, M3 subject marks. Understood now? The next point says that a class is known as composite data type. Why it is called compose? Because we have to understand this point first of all. What is this compose is called? When I'm combining one or more, it's called compose. Now what it is composing? It is composing data type. Why? Because it contains the data members of various primitive in the sense your integer, float, character, string. Can we call the string as a primitive data type? Here is a question for all of you. Can we call string as data type? So these are my primitive data type: integer, character, float, double, boolean. We can keep all these instance variables inside a class. And reference data types. What is reference data type? The object of a class, array. These are called reference data types. Though it can have a combination of your primitive data type and reference data type and multiple data type of primitive type. That's why it is known as composite data type. Hence it is known as composite data type. So let me show you. No. Then what is the reason why it cannot be called? Now let's go to the Java screen to show you how it is called composite data type. Now look at over here. I am saying int x, I am saying float y, I am saying string n. Is it clear? Now I am creating an object. Now with the help of this object, I am accessing the member. I am going to access the member. So I am saying pp.x is equal to 10. Here I am saying pp.y is equals to 20.5f. I am saying pp dot n is equals to Mohan. Now look at this. If I am saying this is user defined data type because it is created by me, it is not available or it is not predefined, it is not provided by the Java, it is created by me, and it is capable enough to store different type of data, that is integer type, float type and string type. But integer data type, which is primitive type, can only capable enough to store integer data. It cannot store float data, string data. But my data type, look at this, my data type Perry programming is capable enough to store all these data, integer, float and string. Let's check whether it is storing or not. I'm saying system.out.print within parenthesis. I'm saying message x is equals to, I'm displaying pp.x. Then again I'm concatenating it plus within double quotes I'm saying y is equals to. So let me give new line character to move to the next line, plus y plus within double quotes again I'm saying slash n is equals to, I'm saying n. Now let's execute it. String is having n. Y here I have forgotten to give pp dot, and here also I have to give pp dot. Now let's execute it. We are getting, look at this. This is my data type, user defined data type. That means this is user defined variable. Now this variable pp is capable enough to store integer, float and string. Though it is created by me, that is an user, that's why it is called user defined data type. Next question is that if I'm removing this pp, it is going to generate an error message. You can see here. You can see my mouse pointer. It is going to generate an error message over here. Now, can you tell me, in the previous class I told you why it is generating error message. Now, you have to answer me why it is generating error when object is removed. When object is removed, why it is generating an error message? Why it is mandatory to use object? So if you have attended the previous class, you could able to answer this. Let's hope for the best. Let me see how many of you have understood this one. What is the need of this? Good evening, Swagat. Because string is a class, yes. As the object of the path through which the member be accessed. Okay, all are convinced with the answer given by the Rajesh. Because when the object is EE. Okay. Now I'm giving you one example according to the answer given by Rajesh. Now he said that as object is the path through which the member can be accessed. That means with the help of object we can access the member. But without using object also we can access the member. Let me show you. I am saying what show. In the previous class I have shown this one to you, this example. Now here I am displaying it. I'm removing this. I'm putting it over here. Now I'm removing this object now. I'm removing this object. Still it will work. But if I'm using it main, it is going to generate an error message. Now I need to call this method. Then only I can able to execute it. Method needs to be called. So that's why I'm using pp.show. Look at this. I'm getting the output. Now here I have not used any object. Now tell me, because due to the absence of the object, it cannot able to store the value. No such thing. It is not the reason. It is not the real reason. I have shown you. Without object also we can access it with the help of show method. Yes, anyone else? Don't hesitate to give the answer. Let it be wrong also. Don't hesitate. As I said that the more you will be interactive, the more you will learn. The more you will be silent, you will not able to learn anything. So as quick as possible, if you have any other idea, then send it to me. If you don't know, then simply say, sir, I don't know, so that I can proceed without wasting time. It is just to know that how far you are understanding in the class, where you are lagging, where your idea is lagging. Yes, no one. So I got one answer call, I don't know. Yes, Subhasmita, Om, Swagat, Lakshmi, Ishan says don't know. Okay, fine. Let me explain you. Now, these are all non-static instance variables. He was absent in the previous class. So that's why this is happening. These are all non-static instance variables. Non-static instance variables can be accessed by the member directly. Again, I'm repeating. Non-static instance variables can be accessed in the non-static. This is also non-static because static is not given over here. They can access, member can access member directly. This is also member because it is available inside the class. Look at this. This is also available inside the class. But can you identify the difference? Static is available over here. That means static method cannot access non-static method directly. Again, I'm repeating. Static methods cannot access non-static members directly. It can be accessed with the help of class object. Is it clear now? If you want, you can make a running notes of it. Because of that reason only, the function show can access the members directly, but inside the main, the member is accessed with the help of your object. Any doubt from your side, you can ask. Feel free to ask any sort of question that is arising in your mind. Next, variable declaration within a class is called instance variable. Already I have shown you the variable that I am declaring inside a class is called your instance variable. A variable declared with a static keyword is called a class variable. Now, what is the difference between local variable and what is the difference between your instance variable? Look at over here, we have instance variable, we have class variable. Now, what is the basic difference between these two? Why I should have an instance variable and why I should have an class variable? Any one of you can say difference between static and non-static variable. I'm explaining now. Varsha, I'm explaining now. Static and non-static. What makes the object possible to create a link between the static and non-static method and the member? This is what I'm explaining now. Okay, so let's move to the Java screen. Vishwa Prakash, example of static keyword. Okay, yes, I'm coming to that. Quickly, whatever doubt you are having, quickly post it so that I will cover everything in the Java. So I'm moving towards Java now. Now I'm removing all these variables. I'm just dealing with two variables, int x, float y. Okay. Now here, what I need to do, I need to change this one also. Instead of n, it should be x and y. I have to remove this now. I have to remove this also. So these two are non-static data members. Got it? That's why it is accessible inside this. First, I am covering non-static, then I will move towards the static. Okay. Now, inside the main method, I am bound to use object name over here. This is all of you clear about non-static? Static variables are visible only to the method in which it is declared. No, that is local variable. Subhasmita, that is local variable. Now, everyone clear about non-static now? Then only I will go for object now. Is it clear whatever I told regarding non-static till now? Quickly give me a response. If you have understood, then I will move. How it is affecting when I'm creating an object. Achha, again I'm explaining. No keyword is available before this or static. That's why these are called non-static. And the method where I'm using it, the method where I'm using is called static. So static methods cannot access non-static. Because of that reason, object is required over here to access it. If I'm removing, you can see the left hand side, it is generating an error message. Got it? Got it now? But here, this method is not having static. Look at this. I'm using static before this. I'm using static before this. Is it clear? Now look at this. I need pp.x, but I'm removing here object. Now it is not showing any error message. Now can you able to identify? Can you able to identify? Now I made the variable y is static. Now the method main is static. So that's why it is not showing any error message. So static can access the static directly without any object. Now why? What is the reason behind it? Why it is possible? Because instance variables are belongs to object, static variables are belongs to class. Again I'm repeating. That's what I'm explaining this. So instance variables are belongs to object and static variables are belongs to class. Now how? Let's justify. Let's justify this one. Now I have created one object. I'm displaying it where you can see the output. X is having 10 and Y is having 20.5 because I have given 10 and 20.5. Now here I'm writing non-static, and here I'm writing, I'm displaying static one. Now I'm creating one more object now. I'm creating one more object, that is pp1, and I'm saying, I'm giving some data to it. I'm saying pp1.x is equal to 20 and pp, and I'm not giving anything to y. Now I'm giving over here 30.30. So I'm having two objects. One I have created using pp, one I have created using pp1. I'm displaying both the objects. I'm saying pp.show and pp1.show. First it will display pp members, then it will display pp1 members. Let me execute. I think /n is missing somewhere. Let me do this one, println. Check the output. Non-static is 10, static is 30.3 for pp.show. Now non-static is 20 because look at this, non-static x, here I've given 20. So that's why I'm getting 20. Static is 30.3. Can you observe? For both, it is 30.3 because it is belongs to class. It is not belongs to object. So that's why whatever value that I'm providing to that particular instance variable will be common for all the objects. इसीलिए वो सारे object के लिए same होता है. But non-static variable, a copy is maintained by each object. So that's why it is different. I will show you one more example when purely static will come. So let's move now. Still, I'm having few more examples to make your concept clear. Okay. So now we'll move towards the slide again. Variables declared with final keyword called final or constant variables. So let's check this one. I'm coming to the Java screen now. I'm declaring one more variable over here, int z. I'm putting semicolon. Can you able to identify no error? Because this is non-static. Now I'm saying final. Immediately it is going to show an error message. Can you able to see? Because the final variables, that means its value is fixed. We cannot alter. I think you are all clear about constant. Constant whose value cannot be altered or changed during the execution of a program. Now here, why it is showing error message? The reason behind is that I have not given any value to this z. But I am saying it is constant. So that's why it is generating an error message. But if I will say z is equal to 10, now error message you can identify now. Can you able to see the left hand side of the screen? Just observe it again. I'm removing. I got an error before the class. Have you marked before the class? I'm getting error. Every type of constant. Yes. Simply it is a constant. It makes the variable as constant. It is nowhere related to data type. But its convention says that as this is also in lowercase, this is also in lowercase. So it says that it must be capital letter to identify that it is a final variable. Am I clear now? So that's why the convention of the final variable says that it must be capital letter to identify it is a constant. Now I'm giving some value to this. Now there is no error. Let's display this one over here. I'm saying plus within double quotes slash. Let me use /t now because I'm going to use multiple objects now. I will show you with multiple objects. So I'm using /t now. Now I'm saying final. Final variable is equals to fi.